I have been obsessed with voxel game engines for quite a while now. If you've played Minecraft, you probably know what a voxel game engine is, even if you haven't heard the term before. A voxel game engine is an engine for video games where everything is made up of three-dimensional shapes, usually cubes, that you can destroy and place. Even though the concept is pretty simple, implementing this is really difficult. So it's become kind of a rite of passage for big boy game devs to make their own voxel engine. But most of these voxel engines that creators make, they're not something that I'd actually want to play because they're kind of just glorified tech demos. But 8 months ago, I found one that isn't just technically impressive, but also has a very promising game attached to it. PlanetSmith. The easiest way to describe PlanetSmith is to say it's kind of like Minecraft, but on a sphere, so on a planet, and with hexagonal voxels. So instead of the world being made out of cubes, it's made out of shapes like this. Just like regular Minecraft, it's split into two game modes, creative and survival. Survival is likely going to focus on space travel, which is very exciting. Like, I don't think you understand how cool this concept is for me, because ever since I played the game Outer Wilds, I've been just obsessed with the concept of these tiny spherical planets that you can walk around on. And voxel engines, I've been playing Minecraft since I was like 5 or something. But beyond the basic resemblances to things that I already quite like, I think this concept could actually solve a few pretty fundamental issues that I have with Minecraft. Like navigation. If you were, say, on a mining expedition and a creeper comes and kills you, how are you going to go back to where you died to get your items? If you were lucky, you had some coordinates written down, or maybe you use a third-party plugin to display a minimap and death markers. But if you didn't have those things, then it's basically almost impossible to find your way back, because the world just extends infinitely in every direction. Spherical planets, on the other hand, are limited, so finding that one spot isn't going to be as difficult. Or think about visuals. One thing that I think is really ugly about Minecraft is how the different chunks of the world kind of just pop in the distance. In a spherical voxel game, this doesn't have to happen. The chunks can just appear behind the curvature of the planet, so you don't see it. But these are just some of my personal ideas of how a game like this could actually be an improvement over Minecraft. I still think that the concept alone is still fresh enough to stand on its own. So last weekend, the first playable build of PlanetSmith got released. And I was excited, I played it, I recorded it, and I took a lot of diligent notes about what I thought of it. Here's a summary of my impressions. So one thing that kind of really caught me off guard right away was that the main menu actually has music. I'm not sure if it's like original music, but it's really good and I think it fits really nicely. But I did notice that the UI seemed a little bit inconsistent at times. You have this design, which is really cool and clean. I love this. But the menu kind of just looks like this. And certain UI elements like this and this just don't fit either of those design schemes. But I think this is just a symptom of this being a very, very early build. When creating a world, it actually gives you the option to choose what size of planet you want to be on. But personally, the default option was way too big for me. The biomes were humongous, so it was pretty hard to get from one place to another, and it also kind of nullified those strengths that I've actually mentioned in the intro. It was very easy to get lost, and you could still see the chunks popping in the distance. Most of the biomes were pretty basic, which is expected, but one biome really stood out to me. This tree biome with the humongous trees and really nice dirt texture on the floor. It's really great and really iconic in my opinion. Alright, the visuals. I think that PlanetSmith has a very cool visual identity that's pretty unique in this space, because usually these kinds of games use pixel art aesthetics, but this uses a more clean, graphical, and flat aesthetic, which is really nice. The game is pretty consistent in this style, but one thing that doesn't really fit that style at all seems to be the player model. It's kind of way too detailed and articulated, and it doesn't really have those nice hexagonal shapes in it. I've seen somebody that, in my opinion, has made a far better and more iconic design on the community Discord. Their name is Garaween, and they made this. And I love this little guy. This guy makes me want to buy product. I like this man. I want to have him in my room as a plushie. One thing I realized about the lighting is that things that are in shadow appear really flat. It makes it really difficult to really make out where hexels begin and end. I think something that would really help with this would be ambient occlusion. Some more minor things that I noticed is that the model of the torch looks really tiny when held in your hand, and transparent blocks have this weird red effect when you look at the sky through them. But all that being said, I think the lighting in this game is really cool, and the art is really nice. Like, I love the block art, and the entire style of the game just exudes this really nice, pleasant vibe. Alright, building. This is basically the thing that the entire demo was centered around. Jumping in, knowing the controls of Minecraft, everything was pretty intuitive. But I did have some issues with it. Like how light sources barely have any range at all, or how torch hitboxes are tiny, and you can also stand on them, which is kind of weird. The outline that appears when selecting a block could be a lot nicer, because it always just conforms to the shape of the entire hexel and not actually the hitbox of what you're trying to hit. And the outline itself has really bad visibility on dark blocks, so maybe it could do something similar to Minecraft where it just inverts the colors. Placing doors seems to be pretty confusing. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I couldn't figure out if it's actually possible to do double doors. The directions of certain textures seem to change depending on where on the planet they're placed. So if you have a build that's on some sort of boundary, half of the build will have textures facing one way and half of the build will have textures facing the other way, which isn't ideal. Some of the wood types in this game look pretty similar to each other, so when I was making a build, I actually mixed up my wood types a couple of times. But beyond that, I think there's also some really fundamental issues, like how building on a hex grid feels a lot more difficult than building on a normal cubic grid. Maybe that's just a me issue and I have to get more used to the game, but I personally found it really difficult to make things symmetrical or even look good. Given that everything's a hexagon, walls will always look aliased, like they will always look kind of jagged, which isn't super pleasing to look at. But I believe these are all things that can be remedied. Perhaps there could be symmetry tools and maybe some new block shapes to make things look a little bit cleaner. One gripe I definitely had with the game was the movement. It just felt really stiff and rigid. There was basically no momentum at all. Even when you're midair, you can just like alternate between going one direction and another direction instantly. There was also this weird FOV change effect and constant view bobbing of the hand even if you're not even moving. But the thing that I found most annoying was trying to get into flying mode. The way to get into flying mode is basically lifted from Minecraft, but they forgot a very crucial detail. In Minecraft, you get into flying mode by pressing and holding the jump button in midair. Notice how I said pressing and holding? In PlanetSmith, you can't press and hold it in midair. If you press and hold it in midair, you just won't go into flying mode. Maybe this is a bit hard to understand. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it just feels really weird and wrong. Alright, even though I had a lot of criticisms, I would still say that I had a really good time with PlanetSmith. It's such a cool idea, and it has so much potential. I can't wait to see where this project goes, and I can't wait to play it again. If you want to play it, you literally can't right now because the playtest is over. If you still want to be notified when the next playtest starts, you should follow Incandescent Games on YouTube and maybe join their Discord server. The YouTube channel is pretty cool, by the way. They have a lot of devlogs on how the game was actually made. And in case the devs are actually watching, hi. I hope I wasn't too rough with my criticism. And to everyone else, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good day, and perhaps I'll see you around.